Welcome to this discussion how to properly determine the right messaging for your audience. The goal of this presentation is for me to be able to share to you how to effectively communicate with your audience, like how you create the right message, knowing you already have your right audience, okay? So let's dig into it step by step. And the goal of this presentation is to help you understand the gravity of knowing if the I mean understanding the gravity that the content that you are putting out should be crafted, should be based on data, should be, properly created. I'm not saying that it has to be very complicated, but as a social media manager, you should know that the content is the blood of marketing. That means if the content is not working, the marketing is not working. So, knowing the right message for your audience is very crucial, and this is a very important skill that you should understand. Creating a graphic, these are important things that you should know, but the psychology, the having that IQ that will understand what could be what could be the best plan, what could be the best approach. Those are the things that you will be developing as you go on, as you create content. You will not uh, have that high IQ, mastery when it comes to creating content just by listening to someone. So I will be giving you the guide, I will be giving you my process, but it is still up to you if you want to exercise your content creation IQ mastery. So I hope by the end of this tutorial, you will have this confidence that you are a social media manager who doesn't know. I mean, who is not just someone who can create content using Canva or Filmora or whatever, but you are someone who can create the content that will resonate to the audience. That you are someone who can relate the story of the brand or relate the story of the company and tell it to the customer so that they will buy. Okay, so that's the goal of understanding. That's the goal of this tutorial, but more than that, I will repeat myself because I couldn't emphasize enough the importance of this tutorial. Understanding the gravity of the right content, the right messaging for your audience is the most crucial task of every social media managers. Without the right content, even though you have the right targeting, it will not work. I'm not saying that content is not that important. Is the most important thing compared to targeting. I'm not saying that, but the having the right audience, having the right target, having the right um, messaging or the right content is the right way to do it. Okay, if you have the wrong audience, that's and right messaging, that's not. That's not gonna work. If you have the wrong audience and you have the right messaging, the wrong audience and the just the vice versa of those things, it will not work. So I will not discuss this thoroughly, but I hope you understand how passionate I am for you to really absorb what I'm saying, that understanding the right messaging for your audience is very important. That's one. And you will not get it right away. That's two. And number three, even though you will not get it right away, you should know that it can be learned by exercising your your um, your your uh, content creation IQ mastery, something like that. Okay, so let's dig into the topic. Um, Step number one, as you know, 90% research, right? Knowing your audience, knowing your competitors, and knowing your difference. And I've put in here that you should never ever be lazy in doing this research part, because this will serve as your bank of ideas where you'll get inspiration for your content. Now, I want to add here that becoming a social media manager of one client means that you have to dive deep into their content, to the soul of the company, to the products of the company, for you to be able to create wonderful content for the client. So if you will not do the proper research, if you do not know the audience, the competitor, and what will be your difference, it you will have a difficulty. First of all, you will have difficulty creating the content, and even though you will have the content, it will not be outstanding. People will not find it good, they will not find it new. It will not really engage to them, or it will not really connect to them. So I know this sounds vague, so let's dive deep into how to do it step by step. So how do you conduct the research? So in those groups that you have to scan the post and find the most engaging ones. This is the brain dumping. All right, I'll show you how it's done. This is the brain dumping Trello board of for my CBD clients. What I usually do is I will just go into Facebook groups. Let's say, is this the right account? Let's say I'll go. Huh, I'll go here. Let's see. I'll go to the Facebook group, and then I will just scan all the most engaging content, and then I will make sure that I screenshot everything and I document everything. Okay, so I think I believe I have provided um, the link for that, but yeah, let me just show you. For example, here, let's find the most engaging content in here, right? So let's just put here a dot, and then you will see here top post. Yeah, okay, so you will see these are the top posts. One of my post is the top post. So um, you can just see what's the most engaging one, and uh, you just go ahead and open it and screenshot, and then the process of putting it into a Trello board is CBD. This is the let me just grab the Trello board quickly, so that okay, here. So grabbing the information is crucial. So let's say this is the group, so you will just have to screenshot it. Okay, so if it is like this, you can just click this and then open it into a new tab, and then yeah, you can just see it. Or if you want to screenshot it in a square format, you can just see that. Yeah, so if you do not want to copy this, yeah, just copy this part right here, just so you can capture the engagement there. So here, let's take a look at this one. So um, this is engaging content, and I capture it because it got like 25 comments, right? And then as you go through the list, as you go through the most engaging content, you will always see patterns. Okay, so I started creating one column. For example, oh, this is, let's say, oh, this is a tutorial. Okay, so I will create here a list saying tutorial, blah, 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 and then the screenshot, and then, yeah, and then just put it there, right? This is like a tutorial. And then I saw another post, this is a job post. Okay, so people love seeing job posts, so you have to create another list, job posts, and then it will populate eventually as as you go deep into your research. So that's how you do the brain dumping. I can show you here um, the different uh, categories. Okay, the categories will develop itself, so you don't need to actually create this, because the data will provide it to you, because you will see that there will always be frequency. Oh, okay, people love sharing quotes, so you just get the most engaging quote and take a note of it. And yeah, so that's how you do the brain dumping. That's how you understand what's the most engaging content for them, right? The goal of brain dumping is to know what's the most engaging content for your client. Okay, consider, but again, you just have to make sure that the group that you have here is the right group that you are targeting. Okay, because if it is a wrong group, then you are uh, trying to get the brains, or trying to understand the brains of the people you don't want to engage with, or the people that you are not targeting. So be careful on that. And then you have to do a competitor analysis. So competitor analysis, I included here step by step on how to do that. There is an article here. This is the one this is not I did not create this, but this has been created by an expert guru on how to do the competitor analysis. But in a sense, this is how it looks like. Competitor analysis, one of the easiest way to do it is use similar web. Okay, so similar web, you will have like, I'll show it to you. Similarweb.com. So similarweb.com is a company that has like the database of every US brands or US companies that you want to check. So, for example, I want to understand the website of um, hmm, I love uh, I love Simon Sinek. So let's see if Simon Sinek is here. There you go, Simon Sinek. Oh, SimonSinek.com. I should have clicked SimonSinek.com. Okay. SimonSinek.com. Let's see. You will see it right away. Like, um, what's their ranking, what's the traffic, how much traffic it's getting, who is the target audience, and then where are the referrals or the traffic coming from, and the percentage. So this will give you like a quick look on how it, how the campaigns of the competitors looks like. So this is one way for you to understand the marketing efforts of a competitor. But there are various ways on how to do competitor analysis, not just using SimilarWeb. SimilarWeb is a paid tool, so this will not show you everything, but if you have like a subscription to them, you will have like very fine details of everything. But you can go ahead and try it, and if you, let's say you have a client and the client wants you to do competitor analysis, you can go to a SimilarWeb and see if that website is recorded in SimilarWeb, and you can go from there. But if you do not have, if the website is not in SimilarWeb's database, you can do other ways on how on a competitor analysis. You just have to click this. So this slide is provided in the presentation. So this slide is provided on the Trello card. So you can, yeah, you can just go there. Okay. Then next is you have to conduct surveys. What's happening? Okay. Conduct surveys or find ready-made surveys. Okay. So for well-funded companies, they have budget, they have the research team, they can conduct surveys. But for small business owners, they usually don't have research team. So you are the only research team that the client has. So how to do the or how to get data from the surveys is you just have to find ready-made surveys. So how you do that is you just, of course, go to Google and then let's say CBD plus survey. That's how you do it. And then all the surveys will come here, and then just go ahead and see what survey makes sense. Okay, so let's say work from home, survey. Sorry, work from home plus survey. There, there you go. So you just have to add the plus, and you will see ready-made surveys, and you can go ahead and see sample surveys. So for example here, I was able to get summary of who is cannabis users. Like they love they love vaping. They are 58% women, 80%. Yeah, so you will see the details here because it has already been conducted by a larger research team. Check Quora, Yahoo Answers, Bazumo, etc. So Quora is I did not have an example here, but let's just go there. So for Quora, you just go to Quora and then you have to see what are the questions that people has when it comes to CBD. Let's say so search CBD. So if you have that, you just have to be smart about putting the right keywords here. So these are the questions like, okay, a lot of people wants to know if CBD helps anxiety and all that. So you just have to list that and then go ahead and create a content about that and research, like be the person who knows where to find answers, right? So if you feel that this is really relevant to the audience and I think I should conduct more um, research about what they really want to know, then go ahead and be the expert, find the answers for them, right? I know it will take time, but if you provide this answer to them, they will value you. They will you will look like an authority in your niche, and it's very important. I know I'm not sure if a lot of people are still using Yahoo Answers, but there are niches wherein it's very the targeting is very like an older demographic who are still using Yahoo Answers, so it can still work. All right, and then you can check Bazumo. Bazumo is a very handy tool in understanding what is the most engaging content in the totality, not just on Facebook or not just in Quora or not just, but in everything like the websites, uh, social media platforms. So let's see. You just go to Bazumo and just search, let's say, your keyword CBD, and please upgrade trending. Yeah. So here, uh, so uh, okay, I'm not using. I think it's because I am not using the um, the paid version. Let's see if I could get it here. Zoom.com. Because I've been using that page, I believe, before. So let's see. CBD. Okay. Oh, please upgrade to use time filter web today. I think Bazumo has changed. You need to have, you need to be logged in, I think. Um, hmm. Usually, you should have, okay, let's try this. Um, this is something that you should also um, understand that sometimes these platforms change like very rapidly because they have to keep up with the technology and what's the demand of 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 the marketers. So please upgrade to use the time filter. I don't know what's yeah, it's not working. But I really want you to show this. Hmm, it's not working. Okay, let me just go log in and see if it's. Usually you can go ahead and search right in front of their um, platform, but I think they have changed the rules, so you actually have to um, trending. Okay, where do I search? Okay, maybe later. How to search? Where is the search button? You need you. We used to have the search button readily available at the top, but it's not working here. Discover, search. There we go. CBD. Let's say CBD oil research. It's not working. Please upgrade. They are. I think Bazumo is um, like they are really becoming very strict right now. Before you can search for it, so I think it's not a good tool to for us to use anymore. But if your client has a paid account and they're willing to pay for it, Bazumo is a great place for you to search engaging content. Like you will see here, research the top performing contents across the web, discover, analyze the benchmark on Facebook, find backlinks for the URL. This is a very useful, very useful tool if you have it. Um, it's a very if you have access to that Bazumo tool, you will have a database or like a bank of um, data that will support that. Okay, this is the right content that we have because this is engaging, on the platform, and it's engaging on websites, on social media channels. So let's use a Bazumo, but uh, doing this is very important, but you can still do other things. You have to compile everything on Trello board. That's the last step. I've already showed you how to do that. So you have to conduct the research, do the brain dumping, do the targeted demographics using SimilarWeb or other tools. um, we have other ways to do this. You just have to go to the link that I provided here. Okay, so next is get surveys, and step number two is this is where the action goes, like creating or creating the right messaging. Every page, every company, every business unit, every every organization have core message. So even though you are just starting your page or your business, you should create your core message. This is the formula how you create the core message. You tell them the elements are the audience, what's the challenge or the pain point, or this is actually the problem that you are solving, and then to achieve experience, what is the transformation that you are offering, the key benefit that they will receive, and how you're different like what's your differentiator, what makes you unique. And sorry, this is for the R solution. What's the unique difference? The unlike is the competitive or alternative. It means like um, without spending so much money, or maybe um, you can say unlike expensive coaches, these people, or okay, or we can say like um, I have an example here. Let me just show you. Um, you can actually change it, like instead of unlike you can say without. So but the main idea is to just give them, or the unlike portion here is you're telling them uh, what's the what's the what's the opposite thing that your competitors are doing. Okay, and then you can point that out that you're not doing it. Okay, so yeah, that's the point. So okay, so here we help aspiring Filipino freelancers. So this is my target audience, so alam niyo yan, like I am very passionate, I have love, I am madly in love with the aspiring Filipino freelancers because they are my audience, I am like them, I know what they feel. So you help the audience that you are targeting. All right, so understanding the audience is very crucial in creating the core message. If you are a virtual assistant slash social media manager for a small business owner who doesn't have core message, you have to ask the client to create one for you, or maybe you can create one and then suggest, ask, is this like the core message of the company? Maybe you can refine it, right? So you can do that. And then this is the transformation. Who want to learn how to get clients and earn online? This is the transformation that I am giving them to achieve or experience freedom and meaningful life, right? So in our formula, this is the key benefit, right? Who is the challenge or pain point? So this is one of the pain points of my audience, that they are having difficulty getting clients and earning money online. And then we already discussed that key benefit. And then here, competitive alternative, I said here, without taking expensive courses and mentorship, right? Because this is what the competitors are doing right now, and I want to point out that I'm not doing it. And your unique differentiator. So I said here, we believe that to become successful, you need to follow someone ahead of you, help someone behind you, and never forget that there is a God above you. So this is my core differentiator because, yeah, this is embedded in my soul. This is what you will see in my soul. This is what really, drives me, why I create content and why I'm doing things that I'm doing. So you have to develop your core message. You can follow this. I also have a tutorial on SMM. I have on our SMM handbook. I have other ways for you to craft your core message or your branding message, you just have to find I mean you just have to find uh it's okay. So you just have to find, you know, and test. You will not get it like, agad-agad, but you can just go ahead and experiment. Experiment lang kayo and here. So you can use this pure character and talent, let's say. So that's a bio. Yeah, so this could be your bio, right? Um, and then I also have here branding, branding. Here, creating your branding manifesto, right? List the 5 things you really care about, and then you go ahead and create a manifesto over that. What you really care about. Um, you can say that let's say here list 5 things you really care about, things like you badly want to do it, can truly make you happy, it's a dream you had before, so or anything that that's burning inside of you, like it's a burning desire, that the message that you want to tell to the people. You just have to format it properly in such a way that people will understand if it's for them. You talk to the audience, and if they are having that challenge, if they're having that pain point, and what's the transformation, if they're looking for that transformation, that they will listen to you, right? So you have to draft your core message. Okay, now step number 3 is you have to be very specific. So you have to understand who's the demographics, what's the empathy map, so you can, connect on an emotional level to them, create content prompts to help generate more content ideas. This is now more on creating um, the content strategy. So the empathy map is digging into the mind of your target audience, and then uh, ito na yung process where you will be thinking of the content that you will be creating. You don't if you will be creating a content, think about the strategy first, right? I have a strategy like the bucket filling. For those of you na nag-intern, you know what's the bucket filling, right? But in here, I will teach you different methods on how you can create content. So the empathy map is going into the mind of your audience. You will ask, anong nakikita nila, right? What is your market seeing? And then you can say something about it, right? You can tell them if it's true or not, right? Or here you can say, anong iniisip nila? Uh, anong iniisip nila? Are they in pain? Are they sad? And maybe you can create a content around that. Maybe an inspiration, maybe something that will make them laugh, anything. And then, what is your market hearing? Right? Ano yung naririnig nila? Ito yung mga sinasabi ng mga ibang tao or sinasabi ng mga pamilya nila. Maybe you can create content about that as well. And then, what is your market saying or doing? Right? So, ito naman yung mga habits nila. Maybe you can create a content that will help them, with their habits, or maybe, tell them that you can relate to them. And here, what's their hell and heaven? As you can see, guys, creating the content is not just about, the graphics, the design, the font, and everything. This is more on the psychology of understanding your audience. If you will be able to know what they're thinking, what makes them scared, what's their hell, what makes them happy, what makes them so uh, joyful. Like if they see that you post something like that, they will feel so grateful to you. Those are the kinds of content that you want to think. This is about being empathic to this audience. You will not just create content because magaling ka, because nagagaling-galingan ka or what. You have to create content because you want to show their empathy, right? It's like, as like ko sinasabi, your page, you should marry your page. Like, as in, committed ka sa kanya. Why? Because creating a content is fully understanding who's your audience. Like parang sa relationship, pag committed ka sa kanya, pag pinakasalan mo siya, you want to know what makes him happy. You want to know ano yung ayaw niya, and ano yung mga magpapasaya sa kanya, ano yung iniisip niya. Gusto mong malaman yon. You go into their empathy map and you say the things or you create the content that will help you get connected to them. Okay? So, as a practical tip, you can just go ahead and ilagay mo to, anong iniisip ng clients ko. So, lista, lista, lista. And then, maybe you can create a content about that. Ano nakikita nila and ano yung mga bagay na hindi na dapat nila nakikita. What's your opinion about it? Lista mo yun. Yeah? So, ilista mo yung mga possible content na naiisip mo right now habang nagsasalita ako. Write that down, and if you are running out of content, you just go back to their empathy brain map and create fresh content from there. So, demographics, psychographics, word bank. So, itong bagay na to, this is, you don't generate like a long list kagaya nito agad-agad. But you will develop it like over time. So, kahit hindi ganyan kahaba, basta meron ka, but you have to start with something. But the goal is you have to be specific, lalong-lalo na sa psychographics. That's why inuna ko yung empathy map para malaman nyo kung ano yung ayaw nila, ano yung ugali nila, ano yung gusto nila, what's hell, what's heaven for them. Okay? So, you can create something like this. Content prompts naman, ito yung content prompts para makapag-isip ka ng mga content na pwede mong gawin na hindi ka magsisimula from scratch. So, isipin mo kung ano yung top traits mo. So, here, ito yung top traits ko. And then, content prompts ko, ito. So, mga life hacks or behind the scenes. So, ganyan. And then, isipin mo lang kung ano yung magiging emotion niya. Is it emotional, rational, or is it honest and true? And then, ano yung psychology? Pag sinabing psychology, ano yung parang end goal nung content mo? So, pag mag-iisip ka ng content, ito yung structure and mamimili ka lang. So, for example, ako ay freelancer, right? Tapos, gusto kong magbigay ng let's say, FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions sa social media marketing. Okay? So, as a freelancer, that's my top trait. Gusto gagawa ko ng something na makakatulong sa kanila, yung mga frequently asked questions. I can answer it sa live session, or I can answer it sa quick video, or I can answer it, depende sa gusto mong media. And then, iisipin mo ano yung gusto mong iparamdam sa kanila. On this kind of FAQ or type of content prompt, I would just say honest and true, which is I'm always honest and true with what I know. Lahat ng sinishare ko is yung mga experience ko, right? That's why I'm not saying that, like, this is like, the right thing to do. If it's not, it's, when I say the right thing to do na parang black and white, na parang ako lang yung tama, sila mali, hindi ganun. The appeal that I have is this is what I'm doing. Ito yung ginagawa ko sa clients ko. Ito yung naging result. Right? So that's the appeal. And then the psychology, what's my goal in there is give them answer, of course, because it's FAQ, but it can also be like authority that you are leading them, you are increasing your authority. So that's how you create content. You have to make sure na uh, if you feel na nahihirapan akong gumawa ng content, balikan mo yung content prompts mo and mag-isip ka kung ano yung pwede mong gawin for them na makakatulong. Then lastly, this is content mind mapping. Kapag ka ayaw mo to, you can just, you know, parang fill in the blanks. I believe blah blah blah. Ito yung proof that I am blah blah blah. Even if blah blah blah. So, pag sinabing belief, itong I believe, these are the things that you stand for, right? Maybe you can just create a content that, telling them that this is what you believe. Or a proof, things that says how reliable you are. So, ano yung mga bagay na nagpapatunay na you're good, right? Or that you really care for your audience, that, you are enhancing your craft, that you are studying, ganon. Even if are challenges you encounter or limitations you overcome, ito yung mga limitations na the even ifs, these are like it makes the audience hook sa'yo because they can connect with you, because most of the time this audience that you have are having the same problems as you are. So this is this is a good content that you publish, but I have to say that it can be uh, hard because for some people it's hard to be vulnerable. um, sa akin, I get, nung nagsisimula pa lang ako, I was afraid to speak about my condition because I'm afraid that uh, bababa yung tingin sa akin ng iba, or yung iba iisipin na masyado akong madrama, yung mga ganon. But as you as you develop your content, and the more na mas gusto mong pahalagahan yung brand mo or yung message mo, the more na mas tatapang ka to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is not a weakness. Vulnerability is actually a way for you to be strong enough to stand kung sino ka talaga, and that you will not care kung anong judgment ng iba sa'yo. So sometimes being vulnerable is viewed as a weakness, but it's really not. When you are when you are ready to accept that ito yung mga bagay na hindi ako ganun ka-proud, but I was able to embrace yung 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 kakulangan na yun, or yung limitations na yun, then that gives you that personality, that uniqueness, and that authenticity in your content. So the even if is a very powerful tool, but can be very difficult. Then values. Values, these are the things you cherish and care the most. Okay? It's care the most. So values, for example, sa akin, I really value family. I value um, uh, being authentic. I value being uh, s- uh, someone na someone na nanggaling sa hirap. Like, I value people na nagsisimula from scratch. So, these are the values that will also make you human, and the more human you become, the more your content will be relevant to your audience. Okay? And then, so I added here conversation starters. So, conversation starters, these are, quick boost sa iyong engagement. So, quick questions, games, polls. So, yan, yung pwede mong gawin. And then, yung mga heartbeat questions na sinabi ko. So, yun. Case studies naman, ito yung mga bagay na uh, na-prove mo with your career or with your, for example, sa product mo, ito, it changed the life of my customer, ganyan. O kaya naman, ito, ginawa ko to sa client ko, talaga naging masaya siya. So, these are sample of the content mind mapping. Para kung nahihirapan kayo, you can just, okay, may case study ba ako? Meron ba akong conversation starters? So that you will not run out of content. Lastly, after listing all those possible content, go ahead and create a content calendar. If you want to post like every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, pwede yon, right? So, this is the content calendar ng SWAT team. Meron kaming approval process. So, if you want to create a content for your client, you can create something similar like this. Put the process and then kung may purpose, may target, yeah, you can check this content calendar. Um, you can grab it, right? And find an inspiration. So, sinasabi ko kanina pa is connecting with your audience on a deeper level by telling them stories, whether you are telling them about how vulnerable you are, or telling them what are your beliefs, diba? You don't just say on your page like, I believe ganito, 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 ganito. Like, alam mo yun, yung parang nagdadaldalan kayo sa magkakaibigan, ikaw puro ka, para sa akin ganito, ganito, ganito. Ako, alam mo, ganito ako. I mean, puro patungkol sa'yo, right? You don't do that. That's why the best way to, for example, you want to say your belief on one topic. You don't just tell them like, you know, uh, ang iniisip ko, blah, 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 blah. Right? No. So you have to start with storytelling. Like, for example, ano bang timely ngayon? Let's say the coronavirus. So yung coronavirus right now is a timely topic, right? And by the way, you don't just grab a timely topic and put it on your page and or put it into your client's page, okay? You don't do that. For make sense lang yung coronavirus kapag for example supplements yung binebenta nyo and it will boost your immune system. So pwede yon, right? But you don't just grab a trending content and put it there, okay? Unless you are very good in twisting things na parang ang layo-layo na ng topic pero naging naparelate mo pa rin, di ba? But that's a very dangerous thing to do. So, I don't recommend you do that. But what I recommend is when you create the content, if you want it to be vulnerable or not vulnerable, if you want it to be engaging, you tell them stories. It doesn't necessarily to be your story or makadamdaming story or whatever. It just have to be a story. Stories are relatable to people, right? So I created a storytelling framework on Trello board na you can use so that this will be your guide when you want to when you decided na gagawa ka ng story mo. So you just have to click this link. Pinrovide ko naman tong itong slide na to. So you just have to click this link, tapos magjo-join ka sa board, and then here it is. Okay? So I'll show you how it's done. May directions naman dito. So, pero yung direction number 1 is you will say, start with an initial idea. So, kapag gagawa ka ng story, kailangan you have to focus on one idea. ang madalas na mali ng marami is when they start doing the storytelling is ang dami nilang gustong sabihin. Ang dami nilang gustong iparamdam sa audience nila. And never forget, a confused audience always goes, they always go away. Because they get confused. Like, they will not engage or they will not do the CTA or yung gusto mong gawin nila because they got confused, right? So, the story should have one idea. Meron siyang initial idea. Alright? So, step number 1 here is you have to think about the story you need to tell in a more powerful way. So, meron tayo ditong uh, mga story type. Okay? So, the story type here is listed. And then, ang step number 2 is once you've chosen the type of the story you need to tell, add some, kapag alam mo na yung story na gusto mong sabihin, add some quick notes about the topic of your story. Parang quick lang, okay? Hindi mo siya agad kukwento. Mga notes lang, alright? Kasi may mga storytellers talagang mag-gifted that they can just start writing from scratch kahit walang outline. But for us na nagsisimula pa lang, you have to pick the kind of story that you want to tell. Is it a story about you? Is it a story about an idea? Is it a story about a result? Is it a story about you and your audience? So, mag-isip ka kung alin dyan and then stick to it. Okay? Huwag mong iibahin yung story mo. And then, mag-isip ka ng mga components. So, sinabi dito, direction is, ito yung mga components nakalista dyan. So, but the process is kapag meron ka ng story type, you can just say, select 4 or 5 components that seem particularly suited to the story you need to tell. Write in your own details in the blank space or the card provided. Short sentences or bullets will do. Step number 3 is when you fill in your 4 to 5 cards, cut them out and send them aside. You're going to need them later. So, you don't need to literally cut them, but you have to put it on sorry, papakita ko yun step by step. But, let me just show you yung mga sample ng elements ng magagandang story. As you know, the most common is Once Upon a Time, right? This is about setting up the scene. Is it, kung nasaan yung panahon or kung nasaan ka, ganun. Worldview, these are the stories about changing the perspective. I like this worldview element or component kasi I like the idea of, telling to my audience that most of the time we have wrong view about many things, especially sa freelancing industry. So I like this kind of component. And then great characters, I like this as well because I usually say that the hero is the audience. Okay? Again, the goal of the content is you have to make them feel good about themselves, right? So, either you make them the hero or pwedeng ikaw yung hero and somehow pareha ka ng audience mo, so they will still engage, right? Or maybe that story is about how angry you are sa mga villains, right? So that still shows your great character. And then there are other more components here that you can choose. You just have to choose 4 to 5. Okay? Anything less than that is not, it's actually a good post, but if you want to say a story talaga na mahuhook mo sila, get the 4 to 5 elements. Okay? So, and then lastly is the story archetype. So, story archetype, this is, parang ito naman yung magiging takbo ng story mo. So, consider the components of the story you selected to help you make your decision. When you've chosen your story archetype, cut it out. And ibig sabihin lang nito ay um, i-arrange mo sila and then uh, iisipin mo kung paano tatakbo yung story mo. So, for example, um, dito, ipakita ko muna pala yung mga archetype. So, pag archetype, this is about strengths. I mean, yung experience and yung strength mo. So, you can just read the archetype. Um, the archetypes will will help you uh, craft or build yung transition ng story mo. Okay? So, for here, coming of age, this is parang mahina ka, tapos na-develop, blah, 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 tapos ikaw na yung malakas. Ganon. Right? True as it ever was, ito naman yung kapag ka meron kang pinuprove na point and papakita mo na kahit ano pa yan, laging yun yung totoo. It's always true as it ever was. Pwedeng ganun yung kwento mo. For example, sa akin, like, I always say that suffering is a blessing. Whether I am telling about my health story or whether I'm telling about my clients or whether I'm telling about your story, it's always true that laging may problema, but it's not like parusa. It's a blessing. So it's true as it ever was. So that's the kind of archetype. And then, yeah, so these are other things that you can check if it fits your story. Basahin mo lang siya. It it may be difficult for you at the start and it's okay. Alright? Hindi ka magiging magaling na storyteller agad because kakasimula mo pa lang, wala ka pang muscle, right? You just have to build it and train yourself and tell a lot of stories how, right? So for example here, story number 1, namili ako, Story of Us, and True as It Ever Was. Worldview, challenging situation, ito yung mga elements. So I chose 6 elements yata here. So pag gagawa ka ng story mo, dito ka na mag-notes, pwede yan. Or gusto mo magsulat ka sa papel, pwede din naman yan. Alright? But you can just practice it. You can just use this. Alright? So what you will need to do is you just have to go back here. Tapos, let's say, Story of Mika. So, let's say, gagawa ka ng list. New story. Right? So, gusto mo to, di ba? So, i-copy mo to. And then, lalagay mo siya sa new story. Create card. And then, lagyan mo siya ng konting notes. Choose this type of story if you want to tell the world about yourself. So, for example, ang story of me, my journey in wedding preparation. Kunwari. Okay, this is the story that we will focus on. So that is, you have to choose the type of the story you want to tell. Kapag kang napili ko story of me about my preparation on the preparation ko sa wedding, magiging magulo yung story ko kapag hinaluan ko siya ng result ng story ko or another idea or whatever. So, I should just focus on the wedding preparation. Ako, nagpe-prepare ako ng wedding preparation. Hindi yung naging resulta ng wedding preparation. But you will focus on yung journey ko. Sinasabi ko lang kung ano yung mga nangyari, blah, blah, blah. Diba? So, yun. So, you stick to that. Then, next step is components. Right? So, I like, I really like the worldview. So, I will be copying this. So, copy, new story. So, dito na tayo. A worldview. Kunwari, ang worldview ko naman is my wedding is uh, all about trusting God will that God appointed this day and all the details are already planned before I think about them. Because this is a worldview, right? It's a common thing that people na ikakasal na parang iniisip nila na preparation na it's all about them sa pagiging magaling na mag-prepare. But my outside point of view here is nangyari na yung wedding mo sa isipan ni Lord or sa future na nakikita ni Lord. So, trusting that nangyari na yun and trusting that God wants you to be happy on that day, trusting that God, will not withdraw or will not withheld good things, yung tipong pinagdadamutan ka ni Lord. Pagka tama yung perception mo about that, I believe that that will give you strength na magpatuloy to be faithful and to develop your character in this challenging time of preparation. Preparing your wedding. So this is my view about it, and that's like that's like kind of opposite about what others think, but it's like relating that view dun sa audience mo, right? Ang pinaka mangyayari dito is you will give your audience a hint of who you are, a hint of what you really care about, a hint of what you believe in, right? So, yun yung mga matatouch niyan. But, so yan na yan, worldview. And then, challenging situation makes sense kasi, trusting na meron si Lord nun is dapat pag nagte-trust ka, may challenging situation. So, ang challenging situation ko is unang-una is yung budget, right? Sometimes ma-stress ka when it comes to the budget because you feel like you want to have it so perfect to the point na hindi na nagiging reasonable yung budget mo. So, yun yung isa kong challenge, budget. Having difficulty to stay on budget but not sacrificing the quality of wedding details. Right? So that's a challenging situation. And challenging situation then minsan is time. Like I'm working, right? Your time is limited, right? And you don't have a budget for a full coordinator. Yan, diba? And then, another challenging situation is, I think nung pumutok yung Taal, like, I really got worried. Mga challenging yan. So, I think I'll just put there 3. And then, what else? lesson learned. So I'll add the lesson learned. Copy new story. Okay. So, yan. Sa lesson learned naman, ang lesson learned ko dito is um, that you know, I have the tendency to make my wedding look so perfect with to the point that I miss the the essence of what wedding is, what what a wedding I mean of the purpose of the wedding, and trusting, and that wedding is a God-given gift. So, okay, yun yung lesson learned ko. And then, happily ever after. So, everybody wants happy ever after, right? So, I'll add this. Copy. Okay. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I have 4 now. Happily ever after is we are done. We are almost done with the preparation, and we experience, uh, you know, we experience God's guidance all throughout, and all throughout. We are more ready to face a new chapter of our life. Right? So those are the elements of the story. That's how you create it. Now let's have the story archetype. Okay, the story archetype is what will be the flow, right? I think the overcoming obstacles will, makes sense for this story. So let's copy this new story. Okay, got it. So dito sa uh, dito sa ano na to, uh, dito ko na ilalagay yung pinaka lahat ng elements na sinulat ko kanina. So, kukunin ko to, like, yan, babalikan ko siya. So, and wedding preparation. And then, yung worldview na gusto kong sabihin, copy ko yan, balikan ko siya. And then, yung mga elements. So, kunin natin yung mga elements. I just copy this nga para sabay-sabay na lang. Save. Challenging situation. Ayan na. Meron na pala yan. Lesson learned. Happily ever after. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. So, here, ito yung mga elements ng aking story. Sorry, 3 lang pala yung nakuha kong elements. Tama ba? Tama. Okay, 4 naman. Worldview, challenging, okay. So, yan. So, dito na ako, ito na yung outline ko when I will be, when I'm going to write my story. So, yung archetype ko is, you hit a roadblock and almost fade. It was a struggle, you challenge and won. Right? So, dito, ito yung tatlong problema. Hindi ko to sasabihin like, like all throughout. Right? So, kapag maggagawa ka ng story mo, is, you have, by the way guys, this sounds like parang antagal. It's because I am creating a full-blown story. Right? But, dito sa storytelling framework, you can get elements or components ng story and create a post out of that, and that can still work. Alright? It's just that, para sa akin, when it comes to storytelling, you give your audience, you connect with your audience imagination, you will stay in their minds, and the branding will stay, the branding will be more powerful, your who you are and your story will stay in their mind. So that's why I like, creating pictures through story. So, a story, lagi akong magsisimula sa hook. Right? And then, sasabihin ko yung story ko, and then what am I offering? So, that's the element. What's the hook? When you are thinking about a hook, this is a little bit difficult because kailangan mo dito ng headlines. So, ako, ang ginagawa ko is I get inspiration. Dahil hindi ako magaling na writer agad-agad, so I get inspiration from Pinterest. So, if you will look at my board sa Pinterest, I have a board called, if you're not following my Pinterest yet, promotion. So yeah, I'm promoting you my Pinterest. But you go to my boards and then you look for the writing hacks here. So as you can see here, ayan, kapag nauubusan ng English, I have here words to use, and then I have here descriptive words, but I am actually looking for headlines. Headlines. Most beautiful words in English. Mukhang hindi pa ito. Let's see. Let me go back to my boards. I think I have another board. Where did I put that? Is it social media? Yeah, I think it's in social media. Let's see here. I actually have a bank of my favorite headlines already, so I rarely go here. But for those of you na wala pa, you can Okay, so it looks like, okay, hindi ko napatagalan, but you can just go here, headlines. I cannot see my list of list of headlines. Okay, 50 headline templates. Okay, so here, blog post headlines. So list post, yan, may mga kukuhaan ka na dyan ng idea. How to blank blank blank. The ultimate guide to blank blank. Everyone does blank, you should too. Right? So, for example, dun sa aking story, mag-iisip ako. 3 reasons why I choose. Hindi. Okay, 3 mistakes I have made when preparing my wedding. Pwede yan. What else? 3 tips to become a stress-free bride to be. That's good. That could be a good hook, diba? So, 3 uh, tips for you to become a stress-free bride to be. So let's go back to that's my hook. 3 tips for you to become a stress-free bride to be. Okay. This is like a great hook. Like, wow, ano yun? It will trigger curiosity. It will trigger blah blah blah. And so, um, that could be one, right? But you can just play. You can just see here and you know check more headline formats, format templates, and then create your hook. Then yung story ko na. So another thing that you should parang creating the create this is the title, right? But creating the first line sa social media post mo must be pag-isipang mabuti. Okay, but this one is already catchy, so people will love it. But dito sa introduction, yung pinaka-introduction is also a very important part of your story. So, introduction templates, storytelling, let's just say, kung meron kayo. Because what I do, there are different ways to do that. Pero maybe we could find something here. This is what I do. Like literally, gato ginagawa ko when I'm out of like I need to create uh, start to start telling intro in story telling. Pwede yan. Ay, wala. Okay. So, wala. So, here's what you can do. Doon sa story mo, kunin mo yung pinaka parang shocking or pinaka nakakapag-trigger ng emotion or pinaka nakakapagbigay ng makakapagparamdam sa kanila ng something, right? So, nung nag-start yung isang content ko na maraming nag-engage, I said there like it is a scary thing for me to go out, yung ganon. So, this line here, it is scary thing. It will hook them. Like, this is already like a very good headline, but this one will hook them. But what's the story all about, right? So, it is a scary thing for me. It's a scary thing for me to see that my wedding is a huge disaster. Yan. So it's a good intro because it provokes emotion, right? It's a very scary thing. You can say a very scary thing to see that your wedding is a huge disaster, right? I'm sure you can. I'm sure you will agree. I'm sure you will agree. This story, or this is just me trying to come up with a story of my own. This story, this story is not about this post. Let's say this post is not about how to have a perfect wedding. Rather, it's a story of how a very stressful wedding preparation can be so beautiful and meaningful, to the point that when you look back on all those chaos, you will find happiness and gratitude of what happened. Gratitude because of everything, because of everything that happened. Right? So, binigyan mo lang siya ng introduction ko na, like, this post is not about how to have a perfect wedding. Rather, it's a story about of how a very stressful wedding preparation can be stress free and beautiful, and can be stress free, beautiful, and meaningful, to the point that when you look back on all the chaos, you will find happiness and gratitude because of everything that happened. Right? So, ngayon, punta ka na sa details. Budget. So, you give there um, uh, so how will you introduce the fact that you are having problems with the budget is you can start with a scenario. So let's say um, I was checking my bank account as I send another payment to my supplier. My heart was feeling down, as if there is something that is as, as if there is something, as if I'm doing something wrong, as if I am doing something wrong. So here you will just you try to give them a picture, right? So I was checking my bank account as I sent another payment to my supplier. My heart was feeling down, as if I'm doing something wrong. I keep on refreshing my page and keep on refreshing my page. I keep on refreshing my bank application, and I was just thinking if we will have enough, if we are doing the right thing, if or I keep on refreshing my bank account, and I was just thinking if we should choose a cheaper supplier, or maybe totally remove nice bouquet and choose to walk with choose to walk down the aisle with a simple rose. The archetype that I am following is overcoming obstacles, right? So this is the problem. This is the drama, right? This is the problem. I was checking my bank account as I sent another payment to my supplier. My heart was feeling down as if I'm doing something wrong. I keep on refreshing my bank application. I was just thinking if we should choose a cheaper supplier or maybe totally remove a nice bouquet and choose to walk down the aisle with a simple rose. During that time, my, my fiance was just sitting there beside me, telling me that everything is already covered if we stay faithful, that if we stay faithful in the way we are spending money and we stick to the plan we forecasted, because God will take care of everything. My fiance was just sitting there beside me, telling me that everything is already covered if we stay faithful in be faithful on how. So here you will refine it on how we are spending money, and we stick to the plan we forecasted, because God will take care of everything. I realized that the man I married I was reminded that the man was reminded that I should not worry, because the man I married is someone who will always hold my hand. So here, as you can see, this is the story. I can go on and finish the whole story, but it will take me time. So, but that's how you create, how that's how you draft the story, how you start, you know, um, creating the story. In our social media pages, there's a part there, story of me. That's a very good practice for this tutorial. That is what you need to do. Go ahead and write your story. Make let let your story connect with your audience by writing it in such a way that uh, you will be able to give them more details, more flavor. More flavor and more uh, feelings and emotions on that story, so they can connect with you. Okay. So that is the end of that. All the links will be provided here, including this tutorial. So this is the end. I'll see you in the next tutorial.